Hello, Bruins fans. Got a tough pill to swallow. Open wide. Tuukka Rask isn't playing like the goalie we know he can. That's the tough pill to swallow. We gotta accept it. Unfortunately, couldn't get the job done against Anaheim. I wasn't even that disappointed in how the team played, but we had a couple breakdowns, as we have, a couple bad giveaways, especially in the offensive zone that we don't need to do. But the goaltending wasn't quite there to bail us out when we needed it to be, and like we kind of expect it to whenever Tukes is between the net. But let's kind of jump into the game right away. We don't have to dwell on the reality of the situation. Let's just focus on what actually happened. So we can move forward into, Colorado out west later on this week, which is going to be a big, big test. Um, so Boston versus Anaheim. Boston take a penalty early. Our best penalty killer, McAvoy, hooking. And Anaheim's power play was really, really good. Lots of good movement around the outside of the ice. But Boston were doing just as good of a job of blocking the puck and clearing it out. A couple blown tires in this game. I don't know if it was an equipment issue, but I'll bring it up later. A lot of lost edges throughout this game. Bergeron blew one on the penalty kill. Foligno had a really classic one that led to a shorthanded goal. Just generally all around the ice, losing edges, dropping sticks. Let's little technical issue. Maybe we can refine that in the equipment staff. Throughout the first minutes of the game, I really loved how Anaheim were forcing second looks on the puck. So they were playing it deep in our zone and getting either their own rebounds or keeping the pace of play and keeping Boston hemmed in so they could keep the play alive. That's really, really good, and good teams do it really well. Our third line has been doing a lot better job of keeping their own plays alive, just as a throwaway. Um, Something I've talked about in a couple of the reviews is as Boston enter into the zone, they're a little bit too predictable now, where they're only going for high entries and keeping the puck circling around the outside instead of getting it deep below the enemy red line. They started to change that a little bit as this game went on, but there was just a bad D to D attempt that gets picked off, turns into a contested break, and then the game starts to open up. Um, Back and forth. The shots are 6-1 to Anaheim at this point. It doesn't necessarily feel like it. Maybe the power play had a bit of an impact on the shots, but the game starts to open up. As it opens up and pace picks up, I gotta say it as I saw it. Steen threw a dangerous, dirty hit from behind on Delorier. Delorier didn't return in the game, and I think it should have at least been a 5-minute major, and honestly wouldn't have been surprised if the player safety looked at it. It was called a 5-minute major on the ice, and then later downgraded to a 2-minute minor. It was really, really surprising. A lot of how Anaheim were building some of their second chances is just putting a lot of bodies in the dangerous areas of the ice, looking for a lot of tips. There were a lot of blocks as a result because they were looking for tips and stacking that middle area, but it helped them get second attempts as well. In one of those scrums, Anaheim tip and then seam pass attempt. Boston have trouble clearing it from their own zone. Goes back out to the point, and Getzlaff rips a point shot that doesn't end up going to him. Who to go credit? Credit went to Grant, but it was a shot by Getzlaff. I think Rass was screened. Great shot, great setup, great play, nice screen. A bit of a gritty goal, but great job to keep the play alive. And then a really nice shot. Getzlaff was dangerous all night, all night. I did like the response by Boston. They threw their fourth line out there to try and get some energy back, and they just did try and do the same thing that Anaheim are doing, getting those bodies right into the crease. But Boston were also struggling with their entries. Anaheim's wingers were doing a good job forcing the puck turnovers, and that's something that Boston can get better on, is those turnovers in the neutral zone. Along with turning the puck over, or Anaheim forcing turnovers, they're also skating really well, keeping the puck up front, keeping the puck deep in Boston's end, and just overall pressure game. I really enjoyed their press in the early period. Rask, it wasn't like Rask had a bad game either. There were just some saves that he would normally have over his couple starts that he hasn't. One's going under his armpit or slipping. He's losing track of him and they're beating him in the corner or something like that. Or even some of the communication with some of his defensemen, where passes have been miscommunicated or he's been knocking pucks down and defensemen haven't come and collect them. Stuff to clear up over time as games wear on. Grant has a nice chance out alone in front. Rask makes a save on, but there was a really quick whistle. So Anaheim had the puck below the red ice, dropped it out front. Grant had a really nice save, and then a quick whistle because we could see the puck on the broadcast. So I imagine a lot of Anaheim fans were, you know, pretty pissed. I would have been. Um, I just noted the puck came off great for check on Mike Riley. That's something Anaheim are doing really well, sending two men to the forecheck. First one taking the body, second one securing the puck. Just bread and butter, classic hockey. Along with that, Boston doing a little bit of struggling to clear their zone, harder on the puck and making sure it's getting out. But that'll do it for the first period. So 1-0 Anaheim, and they've had the run of play generally. The game opened up for a little bit in the middle, but a great period by Anaheim. As the second period starts, Boston won the power play. This would be a theme that I'm pretty sure we had a power play in almost every period to start. Zegers goes off for slashing. Gibson makes a really nice save on a Pastrnak seam pass, deep play. That Pasternak's and Hull, that line is still really dangerous in transition. But unfortunately, Foligno blows a tire, turns the puck over in the neutral zone, and Lundstrom, shorthanded, slides the puck off the backhand blade of his stick, and it just trickles through Rask's 5-hole. This was a pretty big momentum killer in the game and really set the tone as Boston were definitely chasing from here on out. I don't really know even what to say about the save. Um, it just wasn't responsible management by Rask. His stick wasn't in the right place, and it just went right in between his 5-hole pads. Unlucky. But it's all about how you respond to adversity, and Boston are a team that need to keep showing they're a good. They still have their mental, right? They always believe in themselves. So Jake DeBrusk, I want to highlight his play this game. He was doing a great job at getting deep. That whole line was doing a great job of getting deep behind Gibson and forcing him to be aware of 200 feet of ice. Two wraparound attempts, I think, in the same shift. There was another wraparound attempt I think Foligno had later. Someone else had one later. Maybe it was Coyle. But it was a great job of just crashing that ice, keeping the pressure up so that the other lines can build energy off it. And energy they did build. Pastrnak scores, so it scores 2-1 for Anaheim. Pastrnak from Nosek. Nosek drifted into the middle and found a seam pass. A bit of a breakdown play on both ends of the ice. So Rask's pass to Forbert in his own zone was screened by the official. So there's a bit of a breakdown. Anaheim recognized that there was a breakdown and attacked, as they should do, but they sent three players deep and two of them collided with one another. So Boston were able to jump back the other way. Great capitalization by Pastrnak and Nosek. And from this point on, it started to look like Cassidy maybe was doing a little shakeup on the lines. Nosek and Pastrnak, I saw, had a little bit more time together. Just anecdotally, I don't know how it actually worked out, but I wouldn't have been surprised if there was a couple shifts where Halla and Nosek switched. Unfortunately, basically right off the face-off, Boston give up a 2-on-1 after the goal. That's something I keep talking about. After goals, Boston keep giving up chances or have it mental lapses where they're not jumping. The other team, you know the other team's going to jump when they get scored on. You have to match their jump. Weird scuffle in front of the Anaheim bench between Gibson, the goalie, and Foligno during the commercial timeout. Like it was a weird push from behind, definitely some chirping going back and forth. After, I'll talk about the follow up from that in a second because it was a really nice triangle play off the face-off for Anaheim. They were doing a good job of setting up triangles, and Comtois has a beautiful chance that just rolls on him right down the middle of the ice. Um, but the fallout from the Foligno and Gibson scuffle was that Carrick and Foligno have a fight, and they drop the gloves with one another. Carrick throws a really nice right hand punch. The Carrick throws a really nice right hand punch. Foligno drops to a knee, but then stands up right away. So if he was stunned or dazed, it wasn't for a really long time. Unfortunately, I'm just this is all conjecture at this point. I think that punch was really clean and landed really solid, like right on his jaw, overhand right. Um, Foligno didn't return to the game after that play, and I'm fearful that there was potentially like jaw or concussion issues with that punch just because of how clean it was. I don't know. As in someone who has watched UFC before, those punches can deal a lot of damage when they hit the right spot. Anaheim builds momentum off this fight, and they score. Getzlaff gets a goal. Pasternak has a great back check, gets just dives in and gets beat, unfortunately. So Pasternak did this in the Nashville game too, where he was challenging forward in the neutral zone to try and stop a play going forward and just get stepped around. Getzlaff does the same thing as a veteran move. I really, really liked how Getzlaff was very composed in this game. Let me just show you the Pasternak bite in the Nashville game because I've got it in front. There's Pasternak just biting him with the wrong angle on his stick and gets stepped around. Same thing happened to Getzlaff, except it's right here inside the blue line. Pasternak's coming across and just sweeps instead of getting back checking into position. So when you back check, you can get into zones and protect that zone. He dives in and gets stepped around. So then Getzlaff walks in and has a really, really nice shot. One of those shots from distance, Rask was maybe screened again by Carlo. Really nice play by Getzlaff. Can't talk it up enough. I was impressed by his play. Zekers missed an open net basically on a breakdown 2-on-1 with Drysdale. The puck was on his stick and he had the open cage and he just ripped it wide of the net. Really unfortunate, like right back where the pass came from him almost. He'll be kicking himself for that, but because they got the win, he won't be kicking himself as much as if they had lost, right? It's okay. Boston go on the power play after this. Mahora takes a hooking call after great work by the third line to keep the play alive, starting to take a playbook from Anaheim, looking for their own rebounds, cycling the puck deep. Pasternak hits the post as one-timer is deflected, off Shattenkirk's shattering stick. Um, a really nice power play by Boston with to build some energy, and they get rewarded on that second line. Hall redirect back pass from Marchand right in front of the net, standing where Foligno would have been, and and Hall scored more than once from this position. So hopefully this will just remove Foligno from that spot. I've said in the past, Foligno unlocks the second unit, but now it's Hall doing that, and I'm really, really proud and impressed. I thought I was questioning Hall's physicality and his ability to get his stick position. He's doing a fantastic job of it. He had a great look in the last game against Winnipeg as well, I think, where it was really close and just right up into Hellebuck's midsection. That goal goes in on the power play, so it's 3-2 for Anaheim. 2.5 minutes left in the second period. And I write here, like, we got a game. I write that this game is live now. When it went 3-1, a bit of the wind went out of the sails for Boston because it was a blatant mistake. Getzlaff made a really nice play on it and just took a bit of the wind out of the sails, as I said. This one brought it back. 2.5 minutes left in the second, and there's real potential here for this to be a barn burning third period. More of Anaheim driving the dangerous areas of the ice. Terry tries to elevate one short side over Rask's shoulder. There's some real estate there to do it, and bangs it off the outside post. That'll do it for the second. Let's jump right into the third. Anaheim go on the power play early again. Vakanainen, a high stick. I don't really want to talk about the penalty. It was unfortunate. Learn from it. There were 3 shots blocked over this penalty kill. 2 of them came right at the start, and I had to do like little dashes, so I figured another one or 2 would be coming later. It was 3 total. Really, really nice job by Boston of clogging up those lanes, as that's what Anaheim were trying to do, is put the puck through them with tip potential and lots of screens. So if you're going to be screening the goalie, better block the puck. Then Zegras has a one-timer that Rask is really square to. That was good tracking by him. Strong forebort clear. Good, good, good. I said before that maybe Cassidy was starting to mix up the lines a little bit because Pasta and Nosek have a really dangerous look and a chance. Sorry, they had a good look together. But then I think there was a bad change by Boston where you really have to be careful when we're doing our changes. I've talked about changes a little bit. This is not a change that's good. Mike Riley can't go change in this position. Pasta and Riley change, both of them on the left side here. I think it was Pasta. It doesn't make sense for him to be on the left, but I'm pretty sure both of them went off in this situation, and it kind of ruins our play out right here. Riley going off in particular. Um, Look at where your defenseman is. Like Riley's literally on the bench right here, and your defenseman's coming off and staring at three Anaheim players charging into your zone. Yeah, that's just whatever. One that can't happen. The first line were starting to do more of the deep game that I really wanted to see from them. They've been super one-dimensional in their around the horn triangle setup where two people go in with the defenseman trailing, you drop pass, and then you've established a triangle, right? So two people go in, drop pass to the finger here, and then the trailing D-man. So you've got three people. That only works if you can also play the deep game. And this is where the deep game works so well, is when you can set up Bart Marchand or Bergeron in this case to be the high man up in the slot to get a great chance. Really quick strike, and the lethality of our left wing D especially lets this play have a lot more potential. Not left wing D, left D, obviously. Unfortunately, just this one goes short side instead of far. Great chance. Love this deep game from the Bruins. They need to keep showing this instead of just that really finessing outside the rim transition play where they overlap their D all the time and do that really, really good stuff. That's like step two. They've already jumped ahead to the advanced strategy without locking down their fundamentals. Um, because generally, dump and chase hockey is simple hockey. Doesn't make it bad though, and makes it the right play in a lot of cases, especially when you're uncertain. Putting it 200 feet from your own net is never a bad idea. So I've got Holland, Nosek changing spots after passes goal, definitely. The game keeps opening up. It goes through transitions of tightness, and then we'll have caginess, we'll have a lot of pressure on one side, and then it'll start to open up where the game can go back and forth. Lazard to Clifton in transition, then Lazard to Holla in front. Lots of attacking in motion from both sides, but I've got it marked for Boston here because as how often do you see it where you have a really good chance on one end, a really nice save by the goalie, only for the other side to jump back in transition. Anaheim score, make it 2-4, so 4-2 for Anaheim, and Terry makes a nice play on the puck and rips one past Rask. There was a lob pass coming out of their zone, and one of the Boston defensemen, it was Vakanainen, but he misreads it. When you are the defenseman and you're either outnumbered or even numbered with forwards on your blue line, that lob pass has to be yours, like a soccer goalie coming out on a corner kick. If you pinch up and attack that ball, you have to make sure it's yours. So what that means is that you are willing to hand pass it down the ice or are willing to um, box someone out for it or you have body position. You have to make those checks before you pinch. Vakanainen loses when he pinches. Um, there's a really nice like stick tap play around him that was really really beautiful. If you can watch the highlight of it, I'd highly recommend it. It was just one of those talent skill plays that Anaheim have been, you know, highlighting the highlight reels with this year. After Vakanainen bites on it, it's just an odd man rush. Great game, great play. Terry looked really, really dangerous. Zegers obviously was dangerous. Getzlaff was dangerous. Silverberg was. I know he can do a little bit better, but he was still really good. Um, so it's 4-2, and Anaheim is still skating really, really hard after the puck. I really like that from them. Unfortunately, it comes back to bite Mahura as he's going really hard. He's maybe trying to go behind the net. There's a bit of confusion, and he ends up like running into the post almost. I'm pretty sure he came back into the game. If he didn't, hope he's okay. Definitely one that knocked the wind right out of him. It looked pretty bad on the ice. Just one of those. Ugh. First and second line were getting looks for Boston. Bergeron had an attempt up front that came from deep. I showed you a screenshot of. Off the faceoff, McAvoy steps forward twice, and another Bergeron attempt up close. Pastor and Hall have a nice 1-1 transition attempt. Looks like Shattenkirk maybe robbed the goal. And then again, you see a good chance on one side, go the other way. Pattern rips one from distance right to the top corner. Zegers can't get the puck to settle during the 2-on-1, so he gets it back to Rickles and retrieval, makes a beautiful pass to Pattern. I think this was a beautiful hockey play. Boston did have an answer to make it 5-3, as past a Hall Lazar line created energy and chances, and then a goal with 3.5 minutes left. Boston put out the extra attacker with 3 minutes left. They're dangerous with the extra man. Um, Anaheim make a couple limp but good enough clears and hold off. Final 5-3. Overall, really entertaining game, even though the score got away from the Bruins a little bit. And a couple unforced errors led to goals, like pinching up, blowing a tire, shorthanded. It wasn't a costless game either for either team. I think Anaheim lost two players, right? Steen's hit on Delorier knocked him out of the game, which I thought was dirty and should have at least been a 5-minute major. And then obviously Foligno went out after taking that shot to the mouth in that fight. Maybe. Um, I thought Vakanainen had overall a good game though. He did make a couple of mistakes later on, but a couple of nice stands and pinch ups early. He's a developing young defenseman. Give him more time. More time, more time. Lots of blocks this game. Both teams were clogging those lanes really well. Really well. Boston started to develop a deep game, which is really good. But that, even though our play wasn't bad, we couldn't get the result we wanted. That's going to happen sometimes. It's all about how we build off of this game, how Tuukka Rask can settle into his role this season, and what's Cassidy doing with these lines. We had that Pasternak Halla Lazar line at one point. And obviously that's going to happen when you lose Foligno out of the lineup. But then Pastor and Nosek playing together as well, looking dangerous. Stuff's up in the air. Um, and the final roster for this team is still undecided, right? With Foligno being injured, fans being a little bit down on him, the production definitely not being where we would love it to be. Then players like Steen coming up and impressing. And then the blue line, there's been a whole lot of bottom six activity. Clifton, Moore, Achan, sorry, the HL player. We've had a lot. Obviously, Vax is playing into his role. We've lost Zaboral. It's a really, really wild and tangly bottom six on both our offense and defense right now. I think that competition is helping some players like Jake DeBrusk get really active and engaged in every single game. I hope it keeps the fire lit under players like Connor Clifton's butt to do his best every game and keeps everyone hungry, right? Everyone in the AHL recognizes, hopefully, there's opportunities to crack roster spots and a lot of fluctuation and a little bit of uncertainty. Hmm. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Make sure you like and subscribe. Next game's in Colorado. Should be a really, really good one. Another big test for the boys against a step up in competition, probably what many would expect. Another level up. Yeah, great game. Let's go next. Have a great one.